Well, the holiday season has brought us increased airline security and a whole new set of TSA guidelines with it.
Yeah, so how do Americans really feel about the heightened security? Joining us is pollster Frank Luntz, who is testing the pulse of the nation. Merry Christmas to you, Frank.
Merry Christmas to you guys.
Well, a lot of people traveling this morning, and well, not this morning, but over the course of the week for the Christmas holiday. What did you find doing your research and polling with some of these individuals about how they feel about air travel?
Well, let's set the context. We asked the American people, as part of a Vernon Kriebel Foundation survey, what you thought about freedom in America today. And the results were startling. And to me, it's my #1 finding for 2010. We asked the public, are you more or less free today than you were 5 years ago? Only 13%, excuse me, feel themselves more free. 53% less free today than they were 5 years ago. And part of that is the reaction to what's been happening in Washington and the feeling that we just don't have control over our lives anymore. I've got one more statistic before we go to the sound, and that is that Americans are more afraid today than they were in the past. In fact, when we asked them whether you feel a sense of hope or fear, 69% look at the conditions for the next generation with fear, and only 28% look at that, 26% look at the next generation with hope. So you've got that negative connotation going on in America today. And in that context, we asked the public, you're going to be traveling over the holidays. What do you think of the TSA's approach? What do you think of what's happening to you at the airports? And what you're about to hear is some very dramatic sound from Americans themselves reacting to what they think of the TSA. Let's listen.
I think that they should be more selective on who they pat down. You know, a little old lady whose rosary goes off in the security thing, and they give her such a hard time. No, I think that they need to be more selective. There is a certain type of person that is more likely
now,
than others.
Are you suggesting profiling?
Yes.
Yes.
By a show of hands, how many of you support profiling?
Absolutely.
Now, if I said the word racial profiling, how many of you would support it? Oh, so profiling's okay.
I'll say it.
But not racially profiling.
But you know what?
What do you think profiling is?
You had that gentleman that got on a plane overseas who got on as a senior. Okay, and then in mid-flight, here he is, this young man, you know, so you can't just say because this is an older person. I think you need to go through the screening if it helps our safety.
Understand that word racial, add that word to the component, because that's what profiling is, make no mistake. That there's age components, gender components, but there is a racial component. And the moment that you add that word, the public gets very nervous about it, doesn't want to acknowledge it, but they don't like the way the TSA is handling it because they don't feel that average Americans should be harassed.
Frank, okay, I thought you were throwing a little more sound there. Clearly you are not feeling as healthy as you were a year ago. But next you asked some people about their responsibilities over those rights, and what did you find there?
Yes, and in looking at the TSA and this whole issue, the question then becomes, what is more important to you as an American? Is it your rights or your responsibilities? Again, going back to that Vernon Kriebel study, let's take a look. The American people, by a narrow margin, 55-45, and I think that that's a positive, by the way, think that citizenship and how we behave as Americans is more a responsibility than a right. And this whole issue of whether our rights are being taken away from us by Washington, I think is going to be one of the great issues in 2011. And I got one more statistic for you. We asked whether you think that you are citizens of America or citizens of the world. And this is one of those where if you're a Republican, you are absolutely, I'm an American citizen only. 64% of McCain voters said that. Only 30% of Obama voters said that. This is one of the great debates that we are going to have in 2011. What is the responsibility of an individual? What is the responsibility of government? And how can we restore a greater deal of hope and faith in the future?
You're right about that. We already are seeing the beginnings of that debate. Frank Luntz, Merry Christmas to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Merry Christmas, buddy. Coming up, some big changes coming to the White House.